Vontaze Burfict under the microscope again for a questionable block that he threw at Martellus Bennett. There was some talk among the national guys this morning that it was going to be investigated by the NFL. Marvin Lewis said at his news conference, and we'll play that soundbite right now, that he is not under investigation by the NFL. In fact, here's more of what Marvin had to say.
No, they're not.
Sorry,
No, they're not. The league looks at every play, so that report would be very clear. You know, they look at every play that happens every game. No, there's no concern.
So he apologized to Bennett, said he's sorry for the block. Are you surprised, John, that, I mean, there wasn't some sort of inquiry? Or do you think Marvin already knew that there was and nothing was going to happen?
And maybe Rodney can handle this more than better than me. It doesn't bother me that he hit him. It's where he hit him that it seemed like it was the bigger deal, was that he went low and seemed to cut him. And I don't know if that's just what's showing up on the videotape. And the way Marvin described it is what he double pumped.
Yep.
And that's what he thought the ball was coming in his direction, so he went after the hit, and the ball zipped right by him, and he hit it. I guess what everybody's looking at, and they're taking this little snapshot of him going low. And Rodney, when you look at that, does it look legitimate, or does it look like something you'd rather not see?
I'd rather not see it. I mean, I saw that, and initially, if you don't see the game from the side, like from the coach's point of view where you can see it from the field, you know, you got game film where you can see the entire thing. Now, the way it looked to me, it was like he was actually targeting. He wasn't trying to make a play on the ball. So at that point, I don't feel like that was a necessary play. You know, when I saw it and they replayed it, I was like, you know, that was kind of dirty. I looked at it like it was kind of dirty. Now, I mean, what Marvin's saying, of course, you want to cover up for your guys, and you know, in a situation, I don't really think there's any room for that type of play. He could have just went up and hit him in the chest or whatever, not necessarily going for a side of his knee.
Sometimes it's tough, though. I mean, we all, like John said, we capture it in a little clip, but that game moves at like 100 miles an hour. So sometimes you think you're going for a guy at one part of his body and you wind up hitting him in another part of his body. I'm not making excuses. I wouldn't want to see it either. I don't want to see somebody do something that's going to end a player's career. But you do have to factor in circumstance when you look at plays, don't you? And I, you know, again, the double clutch, whatever it may be, none of this stuff happens in a vacuum.
Well, I mean, if you're really looking at that situation and that play, I mean, you got to look at the whole variety of what's going on in that situation. I couldn't see. I mean, all I could see was what was going on at the end of that play. I mean, I don't think, you know, I can't. It doesn't help him to have the history.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
When you have a history where you're used to, even from college, when you're bringing that in and you're continuing to make plays like that, you know, it's like, you know, little boy cry wolf. I mean, it's not going to be a thing to where you can just get past that. You're automatically going to be looked at and looked at harder. He just came off of a suspension, and now you come back in a couple games later. When you're back, a play happens like that. You're going to be under some scrutiny. So that's where I kind of looked at it, and I was just like, okay, I got to see the whole picture of it. But in that sense, it didn't look good is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and, you know, the first thing I thought of is exactly what he said. There's when he went after Cam Newton 2 years ago. And everybody, I'm sure, remembers that and thought those were cheap shots, and this was another one like that.